Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain, where I have coffee, I have books. No real rain, but that's okay because I do think there was some in the forecast, perhaps, so I guess we'll see what the evening holds. But today we are diving into a book that I was really kind of on the fence about bringing to you all, and the reason being for that is I wasn't certain if my rating was going to be like worth bringing it to you guys because I probably give this a 3.75. Now, I will ultimately round that to 4 stars on Goodreads and NetGalley because I can't do partial stars. And a couple of reasons for that, which I will get into after I do the summary. Now, The Mercy Makers by Tessa Gratton is the Moon Heresies #1. It is incredibly dense, in my personal opinion, and I had the audiobook to which I even sped it up, and it still felt like it took a while. It's very complex, which of course we will also get into after the summary. But I do understand the reviews, and I think if you can get through it, to which I did, I think if you can get through it, if you can get past maybe the halfway mark, then you can find your stride in it. But I also see that some people were not able to reach that point. So let us dive into the summary. A talented heretic must decide between the pursuit of forbidden magic or the ecstasy of forbidden love. Either way, her choice will upend the world in the start of a sweeping romantic epic fantasy trilogy by New York Times best-selling author Tessa Gratton. Can an empire trip and fall on a mere strand of silk? Irisette is a prodigy and an outlaw. The daughter of a powerful criminal, she dons her alter ego Silk to create magical disguises for those in her father's organization. But she longs to do more with her talent, to enhance what it means to be human by giving people wings, night sight, and other abilities, to unlock the possibilities of gender and parenthood, to cure diseases, and to even end mortality itself. Everything changes when her father is captured and sentenced to death. To save himself, Irisette must infiltrate the palace and the Empire's fanatical ruling family. There, she realizes she has a chance and an obligation to bring down the entire corrupt system. She'll have to entangle herself in the lives of the Emperor and his sister, getting them to trust and even to love her. But love is a two-way street, and Irisette's own heart holds the most mysterious, impenetrable magic of all. So it is considered queer, adult, romance, romantasy, and sci-fi fantasy. It is pretty dense, topping out a paperback at 560 pages. I want to say my audiobook was somewhere around 19 hours. So just to kind of let you know where that sits. It is expected publication of June 17th, so I'll probably release this a few days later as I do have a couple other books. And again, I am still a little on the fence about bringing my thoughts to you all. But another reason I am recording this is because I want to be as open and honest with you all as possible. I don't bring you books that I DNF. If there is a book that I just cannot get through, or if I absolutely dislike it, I do not bring it to you guys. Y'all may never know I have ever picked it up. Why? Because I'm not here to sway you guys on your thoughts if you happen to pick it up. Could my words be a forewarning? Perhaps. But the thing is my thoughts may not be your thoughts when you pick it up. Maybe I just wasn't in the right headspace for that book. Who knows? Maybe you're in a better headspace for that book. I don't know if I was in the right headspace for this book, but because it was an audiobook, I do think that's why I was able to get through it. If I'd had an ebook, I cannot guarantee that I would have continued my journey through the 560 pages. But because someone else read it to me, I did go ahead and work my way through. Um, Now, Silk or Irisette, I really do like her name of Irisette. It's a really pretty name. She is so incredibly intelligent, and I love the fact that in this book, gender is very fluid. It's just people just feel comfortable being masculine or feminine presenting, and it can change from day to day depending on how they feel. And I just thought that was really, really like a wonderful way to represent it. So, Irisette does have this one particular partner who she's able to explore some things with. They are masculine presenting. And apparently she writes like a pamphlet about some, I guess, some sexual innuendos, which apparently embarrasses that partner, even though the pamphlet does not out them in any particular way of like, oh, these are the things we were doing. It just kind of talks about, I guess, the rising of energy and flow and such. But apparently it was pretty well received by quite a few people, but that particular partner was quite embarrassed, I guess. I mean, I could see that if you had a partner and they ended up writing like something slightly scandalous about it, even without naming names, you might still be a little embarrassed. Now, one of the things is it is dense, it is complex. There's a lot going on, and for me, I think some of the world building, we probably could have reined some of that in just a little bit, because everything in this story is, in my personal opinion, so very new to the reader that it is a lot all at once. We are just completely different way people work with each other or interact with each other, talk with each other, religious system, magic systems, all of it, just even the political system, all of it is vastly different than what we more or less experience in our IRL, in real life world, or what we've experienced in most of our other fantasy books. So, in my personal thoughts, it was quite a large bite of an elephant to try to have to get through and then understand to start working through the book. So, Irisette or Silk is kind of her super sneaky name, is incredibly talented with making these more or less kind of disguises, you could say. But she is also actually very good at what could be called body modification, wings and such, or changing out people's eyes. Possibly she has aspirations of being able to cure cancer or allow people to be parents who maybe can't carry a child. She's got these aspirations. However, the government and religious systems absolutely are adamantly against those things because they feel like it's an affront to God. I mean, I guess it makes sense from various standpoints. I mean, altering the human body it's considered an apostasy. Yeah, I was just kind of seeing Bethany, beautifully bookish Bethany. She actually said that she calls it. She said something considered an apostasy. It's just a very complex word. I need to practice that word. So she knows that it's frowned upon and is considered kind of like a sin against God. However, she doesn't see why she can't help people who may want to be helped. Removing a cancer or carrying a child or things of that nature. But apparently it is considered incredibly taboo for her to even think about it. Well, her father, who is more or less like an underground mob boss, gets arrested. He finally gets, I guess, routed out, and he gets arrested. and she gets arrested as well. However, the arresting officers do not realize that Iriset is Silk. Now, they've heard of Silk and they know who Iriset is, but they don't know that they're one and the same person, because Iriset has been incredibly responsible of keeping a very prim and proper persona pretty much her whole life. She has kept Iriset very clean. So that way, all the things that Silk is doing, no one would believe those things of Iriset. And so now she's in prison, and of course the prison guards and some others would like her to turn on her father and just tell whatever information she might be able to tell, and she's really not wanting to do that. So then she gets visited by this very, very highfalutin lady. And this is kind of where Iriset sees her maybe a chance to get herself out of this situation. She can get out of prison. She can join this lady's court. Perhaps be a handmaid to this lady, because she does clean up pretty nicely. She is a prim and proper lady. She can just clean up after she gets out of prison because she's been there a minute and she's looking a little bedraggled. But this is where Iriset, at least in my thoughts, she starts to really make that plan of like, what can I do once I get in here? Because the beginning of the book is really quite a tragedy for Iriset. She had so many plans and was working so hard, and part of this resistance, and they have to kind of burn it all down to prevent anybody from knowing who was a part of this situation. Now, this is my first Tessa Gratton book. I have not read any of her Gratton book, not Grafton, I'm sorry. Gratton book. I did think the audio narration was very well done, which is one of the other reasons that I am very glad that I had that opportunity and why I do believe I finished it. I would encourage anybody who didn't finish it to maybe give the audiobook a try and see if it helps at all. I just thought it kind of brought it up a level and helped me understand it better. There are some books that are incredibly complex that, again, when I pick it up to read it, if I'm not in the right headspace, it just feels like it's words on a page and I'm like, I can't put this together in my brain right now. However, there are times when I pick up the audiobook of the same one and it clicks for me. So that's why I have never discounted audiobooks as a completely valid form of reading. Sometimes it's just having someone read it to you, which is fantastic. It's not a casual read. It's not a light read. It is definitely one that you would have to dedicate time to. I don't think, in my personal opinion, anyone could just fly through this book. I think it's going to take some time to get through this book. This other individual did say, this person, Taylor, said, it is dense and intricate, demanding your full attention. Blink and you'll miss something important. That's what I was kind of meaning about that beginning part of the book being so dense, and how there's so much that we need to learn right at the very beginning as being like the big bite of an elephant. It's almost too much right there for a reader to fully comprehend, which is why I completely understand why I'm seeing quite a few reviews of people who had to DNF it. If you try to slap readers with too much all at once, it can be overwhelming. It takes a minute to wrap your head around. And that's why you also have to kind of read a little slow, maybe reread a passage and just make sure you kind of get it. I think it took me 8 or 10 chapters before I really started to kind of get that flow. And so, of course, by like that halfway point, I was really kind of like working my way through it at that point. So I'm trying to think. It is pretty heavy on like religious and political themes, as quite a few people kind of mention. And so I don't think that's anything to be too surprised about, especially kind of with this heavier theming, and with kind of like that body modification, human alteration sort of reference, and how it's an apostasy to the kind of to the church and to God. I think it's good, but I'm not certain I'm ready to consume 3 books of this. I'm really not. I think I'm going to take some time. I may re listen to this book and just see what I really feel about it. Now that I've gotten through it once, take some time, give myself a break from it, find a lull in the other books that I have coming up, and then see if I'm ready to give it another chance. But we'll see. We'll see. But I wanted to bring it to you guys because I think it's important to know that not all books are going to click with everyone. I found myself just very intrigued, but I'm just not sure if it's right for me. Just not sure. However, I did think that the premise was pretty cool, and there were a lot of things that did work well for it. It's just a lot. So there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. And with all of that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, I hope you will. And thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I will see you all on the next page.